What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. I took yesterday off. Usually I take at least one day off on the weekend. Today's Sunday, NFL Sunday. I was going to go live on the small channel today, but maybe later, maybe tonight. Stay tuned. Today's video is, let's just say this. I've always taken pride in the fact that I was, like when I was in prison, I was never that dude to mislead a homie. Never did I want to poison anybody's mind. I never snaked anybody. Vatos that I didn't like, rivals within the Ramfla that I did not like and I knew were plotting on me. Even though I knew I could have probably gotten away with it, I didn't snake nobody. I always had a thing where if you're going to beef with me, I'm going to give you enough rope where you can't fix it. And unfortunately, it happened to some people. You know, they were dumb enough to play that game, and I got them. But I never snaked nobody, right? But this story is going to be a glimpse into my mindset as a kid. You know, there was a time in my life where I was so full of hate. And I could say was so insecure that all I cared about was the neighborhood. Making the neighborhood look good. Everything I was going to do. I used to have a thing, you know, and that's one of the reasons why I killed the dude. When I got busted for that murder was, you know, they came, they started all the shit, whatever. But when they turned around and ran, I used to have a thing. I had a belief back then. Nobody was going to ever be able to tell a story. Yeah, once we went and put in work on the west side and he was there. Nah, you're not gonna tell that story. If I was there, you didn't put in work. That's the way I used to think, right? And that's why when that night, when they started all that shit, they reached for weapons. Okay. We pulled our weapons. Then they decided, oh no, this shit got way more serious than we want it to be. But see, that's the thing. When you engage with people, you don't get to dictate their rules. You might have your own set of rules, but you don't know theirs. And me, my ego told me these vatos had the audacity to act like they weren't afraid to come into this neighborhood, one, and they weren't afraid of me, two. And I knew I'm killing one of them. I'm going to catch one of them. And, you know, unfortunately, I did. And again, that goes back to the insecurities that I had. I could have let him live. I should have let him live. But my ego wasn't going to allow that to happen. Now, I'm going to tell a story about one of my closest homeboys. Hopefully he doesn't mind this story, but I feel like it's important. So I was in juvenile hall, 1989. And I was fighting an attempted murder, a bunch of burglaries, attempted burglaries. They were all car burglaries. I was a kid. I used to boost systems, right? When I was on the run. I've never liked stealing, but when I was on the run, somebody was dumb enough to bump a system driving through the west side, and we knew you weren't from the neighborhood and you weren't somebody's, you know, dad or brother or something. Yeah, we're taking that. I'm going to get that tonight. I'm going to find you. And that's what I was doing. So one of my homeboys gets busted, and he's looking at some very serious time. He's fighting 2 attempted murders, right? And this is somebody I'm extremely close to, right? And back then, like Vatos my age, if you ever in juvenile hall with me or during that time, you guys knew everybody hated the west side. Everybody. In juvenile hall, we always went to unit 1. That was supposedly the maximum security unit. There's only 3 units in our juvenile hall. Our juvenile hall ain't big. We have 2 juvenile halls, right? And unit 1 was supposedly maximum security. Unit 2 was co-ed, and then unit 3, I don't know what the fuck was over there. And so in unit 1, we had our own table. We had a picnic table nobody would sit at because that's where the West Side sat. I remember in camp, it was the same thing. Wherever we sat, nobody wanted to sit there. Everybody hated our guts, right? So in camp or juvenile hall, if a homie wanted to go somewhere, we all went. We weren't going to let you go by yourself and get jumped or nothing like that, right? So one day, out of nowhere, my homeboy's like, hey, Holmes, I want to go to church today. And I was like, church? The fuck you want to go to church for? And he goes, oh, I just want to check it out, Holmes. Well, being young, disrespectful kids, if we ever did go, it was co-ed, right? So you would sit down next to that little hyena that you like, you know, and when they would say bow your head in prayer, even the staff in juvenile hall would pray, and then that's when you would put the Mac down on your little girlfriend, your little juvenile hall girlfriend and shit. So I was like, Sergio, you want to fucking go to church? He goes, yeah, man, let me tell the homies. So I go tell the rest of the homies, hey, the homie wants to go to church. They were like, what the fuck? I was like, I know, Holmes. I don't know. Maybe he's stressing on his case or something. I don't know. So we went. We go and, you know, they did the service. You know, when everybody bowed their head, I had my little fucking juvenile hall girlfriend, you know, I don't remember her name. It was so fucking. But anyways, in the other home, it was funny because you could see everybody had their little fucking jail romance. With a hyena, clarifying. They'd say bow your head for prayer and they'd fucking get their little Mac on and shit. All quick and shit. But anyways, I remember it was like a Saturday because I think in our juvenile hall, I think it was Saturdays, they would show a movie and they would run canteen, right? And our canteen was, you know, when you go to school, every day that you went to school, you would get a certain amount of little points. And then if like you asked the Huda, hey man, can I sweep the tier? They would give you a certain amount of points. Depending on how many points you got on Friday, you could buy up to 3 items, and it'd be like a moon pie, a soda, and like a cookie or something. I don't know. So we went to church. We come back. Everybody goes to their cell. They run showers, chow. Boom. They let everybody out for the movie, right? And I remember my homeboy sitting to my right. He was sitting right here. The other homies were around, and the TV's right here. And out of nowhere, my homeboy says, hey, you know what, Holmes? Hey, he was right, eh? I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. I go, what? He goes, hey, he was right. I was like, well, who's right? And he goes, the pastor. I said, what do you mean he's right, Holmes? He said, you know that the stuff he was talking about, homie? He goes, I believe it, eh? I think he was right. I said, man, what the fuck are you saying? And he said, you know what? I think I want to turn Christian. I got very belligerent. Get the fuck off this fucking table and go sit in the fucking corner. You wanna be a fucking Christian? Don't you ever tell me no shit like that. Go sit in the corner. You ain't from the neighborhood. I went on a sick one. I was pissed. How dare he tell me? That's the way I was back then. Instead of saying, you know what, that's feed, my homie. Hopefully that works out for you, and hopefully, you know, you'll be able to beat your cases and have a good life, homie. That's right, eh? You know, you don't gotta bang, homie. Like, we got enough. Nah, I didn't think like that. There was no, yeah, that's cool, homie. Hey, man, that'll probably even be better for your family. It was get the fuck away from me. I don't ever want to fucking rap to you again, this and this and that. And he sat there. And this dude has hands. Don't get me wrong. This dude, no joke, right? And he sat there and he was looking straight ahead. And I'm looking at the TV. I don't remember what was on that TV. I just remember thinking, this motherfucker. How dare he want to fucking turn Christian? We from the West Side, tiny locals. The fuck is he talking about? And after a couple minutes, he goes, you know what, homie? You're the one that's right. Fuck that motherfucker. And I told him, I don't ever want to hear that again, eh? Don't ever say no shit like that. You're from the West. We moved on. A few months later, we both wind up in Hawaii. I'm going to tell you another thing. This is how scandalous I was. So I got one of the homies just left for Hawaii. Then I'm about to go to Hawaii. I beat the attempted murder. They railroaded me anyways, but I beat that. And I wound up taking a deal on it. All the witnesses got up there and said that I'm the one that stabbed the dude up. And how do you know? Oh, well, he saw it. I didn't see it, but he told me. And then they bring the next guy up, and that guy was, oh, I didn't see it. He told me. Everyone that said the other guy told him, they all said another guy told him. They ended the trial, and somehow my public defender was okay with me taking a deal for assault with a weapon with serious bodily injury or some shit like that, right? Like, motherfucker, I beat the case. But anyways, I didn't give a fuck. I was ready to go. Let's go. After I got found guilty, took my deal, went back to juvenile hall, and I told my homeboy, the same homie, Aeons, talk to your lawyer first chance. Take a deal, plead guilty, do whatever you got to do. Let's roll together. Selfish. That's what he did. I think he got like 8 years out of it, which is still love. But his victims were going to be tallying on him. So anyways, so we go to SR together. We go to SR. He gets there a few months after me. And he gets there a month after me. As soon as he gets there, I send him a care package. Boom. I'm on B side. He's on A side. And B side, we worked in the kitchen. I gave up my job in the kitchen to move back to A side to kick it with him, and that vato took my bunk on B side. What the fuck? Fucker. Anyways, I go to Paso. About a month after I get to Paso, he lands in Paso. He got there the day after. There's a story, there's a video I put up about a skinhead that we had to smash for calling a homie from San Diego a spick. And that vato didn't handle it, so we gave him 3 days. Why it was the 3-day thing, right? The Raza from up north had the 4-day thing, I believe. We gave him 3 days to handle it. He didn't handle it, and then we took it in our hands and broke him off. And I remember coming back from the box to get my little property, and they were sending me to another unit. My homeboy was there, right? Same homie. They put us on different dorms. We're both fucking fighting. But for some reason, my homeboy would always fight Asians. And I was like, homie, those aren't our enemigos. Why do you keep rushing Asians? Like, leave the chinos alone already. I don't know what the fuck. I've still never figured out what it was, man. But I go to Cambria, which is their Paso's version of the shoe. Hold up. Paso's version of the shoe. I go. I get kicked back out. He gets thrown in there. Before I come back, he gets transferred to Nellis. See, he was 14. Or he might have been 15 by then. And you had to be 16 and up to be in Paso. I had just turned 16. I turned 16, I think, in SRCC. So because he was getting in so many fights and he wasn't 16 yet, they kicked him out. They sent him to Nellis. He goes to Nellis, right? He gets off as soon as he gets to their fish tank. He asks his vato, hey, where you from? The vato said, I'm from G13. Well, the vato was from Gardena, but there's a G13 in our area. So when he said G13, my homeboy rushed him. They got down. Now he made enemies with Gardena now for himself. Fuck it. But anyways, not too long after that, if you guys have seen my video on when I got down with the the 11 Deuce Hoover, the homie Chinaman, Damian Porter. He has a YouTube channel. Check him out. He's a good dude, man. In that video, I talk about I had received a bad letter. And that's why I was so mad. And I was actually going to fight someone else as soon as we came back from Chow. Unfortunately, Damian decided to play around in the Chow Hall when I was already pissed. The letter was from my same homeboy. And he tells me, I know you're going to be upset, homie, but he says he decided to give himself to the Lord, right? And I got that letter and I saw that, I read that, and I was just like, this motherfucker. Again, my concern was how the neighborhood was going to look, right? That wasn't a reflection of nobody's neighborhood. That was a reflection of a man that's actually a kid that was smarter than everyone else around him. We were all too dumb and too insecure to see that dude was trying to head on the right path. So when I got that letter, I got down that night with Damian, Chinaman. Went to the box. They left me in the box for 10 days, then sent me over back to Cambria again. And I wrote him. And I told him, you ain't my homeboy, fool. I already told you about that. You know, I talked shit, and he didn't give up on me. He would send me pictures, send me letters, always sending me scriptures. I fucking hated it. You send me pictures. I kept the pictures. The letters I didn't want to read. I would wind up reading them, but I didn't want to read them. And I kept picking at him. Man, you ain't my homeboy. We don't get down like that. We don't do that, homie. What the fuck? This is... My other road dog, the one I told you guys in another video, he went to the Navy, and I was mad at him for writing me a letter saying he's seen the world and the world's bigger than the neighborhood. He pissed me off too. That's how angry and bitter I was. That's how different and how evil my mindset and my way of thinking and coping was back then. And I wrote my road dog and I said, hey, homie, what's up with this vato, eh? When he gets out, this, and my homeboy wrote me back. The one that was on the streets, and he was like, good for him, homie. That's the homeboy. Like, if that's what he wants to do. And I was like, man, fuck you too. I was mad at everybody. And I told him, when I get out, I'm going to get down with both of you, this and that. And then one day I get a letter from my homeboy in Ellis. And he tells me, I have good news for you, homie. Something that's going to make you really happy. He said, I'm banging the neighborhood again. What happened was, something happened with some vatos from Colonia, and he felt that the raza on the dorm wasn't, they were letting them bully people. And he was like, man, he came out of retirement or whatever and started going off. Again, this dude is no joke, right? So he starts going off, getting down with everybody again. And I remember thinking, I was happy. And then I went to prison. This dude, I never forgot about it, eh? Especially as I started to, after I lost my mom and I started looking at things different. When I got into my own recovery and my addiction was to the criminal lifestyle. And when I started doing my internal work, trying to figure out what made me tick, what made me justify everything, I can honestly tell you that to this day, that homeboy is still in the neighborhood stuff. And I really believe I'm responsible for that. It's a burden I carry. Whenever I think of him and I wonder, like, damn, man, does the homie have money? Is he doing all right? It's because I did not want him to better himself. I don't think he'll ever be able to find that person within himself ever again to be like he would want to be doing things for the Lord. The neighborhood is too ingrained in him. Luckily, he hasn't been in prison, I don't think, in a long time, which is a great thing. But is he where he could have been? No. And whose fault is that? Mine. Yeah, he had the decisions to make. But at an age where people were impressionable, he's from a clique that I started. I had a huge impression on him. And it was a horrible impression. So anyways, it's just a quick little video. Anybody in the streets, anybody criming it, anybody banging, if you want to do right and someone you look up to in your neighborhood or your family is telling you to continue down the wrong path, know that they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, because I didn't. They do not have your best interests at heart. You do. If you're trying to better yourself, it's because you know you're worth more than what the fuck you're doing. So that's going to be my video for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them. I'm out.